Welcome to another edition of Islanders Insider as we come to you from the locker room today once again on the campus of Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi. I'm Stephen King. Today we're going to talk some Islanders hoops as we get near the end of the regular season with head coaches Willis Wilson of the Islander men's program and head coach Royce Chadwick of Islander women's basketball. We'll get things underway right now with the head coach of the men's team, Coach Willis Wilson. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very, very good. Congratulations. Big weekend. 75-70 win over Sam Houston on the road. When Hamid Ali was a freshman 5 years ago, I remember him hitting a jump shot from the corner to win that game. It's been a long road to get to that opportunity to win again. It is so hard. Why has it been so difficult?
Just two evenly matched teams that play incredibly hard. Both teams are very competitive. I think in a lot of those games, we've run out of clock. I don't know that one team has been just significantly better than the other, but they've been great basketball games, and it's what rivalries are made of.
The second half in particular was big time. Rashawn did make it back to the floor and had a big second half, finishing with 18 points on the night. All of those points coming from the second half. But it wasn't the Rashawn Thomas show. This was really a great team effort, very balanced in the scoring. 4 guys in double figures. Actually, it was very close to 5 with Bryce Duvier scoring 9. While Duvier only had 9 points, he had those 9 boards, which were huge.
Absolutely, and none bigger than the one late in the ball game, just a situation where we really needed it. He was also able to pick up a really nice assist from Rashawn Thomas that I think really gave us a lot of momentum for that final few possessions of the ball game.
Momentum's a word I'm going to come back to in a little bit later. In that second half, though, Dakari Henderson for Sam Houston State, great player. No doubt about it. He went off, hit 3 of 4 trays, ultimately built up that 11-point lead with 6 minutes to go. That 6 minutes to go is gonna live in infamy in Islander lore, I'll tell you that.
Well, just when he hit the first one, I thought, oh my goodness, here he goes. I just remember playing him at our place, and I think he only missed 1 shot, and you could just see him drain 3 after 3. When we tried to crowd him, he was able to get to the rim once or twice. And had a chance to talk with his parents after the game. What a wonderful kid and a great family. And he's kind of been an Islander killer over the last few games, even going back to the conference tournament where he hits one from the top of the key to really kind of seal our fate. But I thought our guys just did a really good job down the stretch. We really crowded him when we needed to. We got to some other shooters. Really did a nice job with our full court press. I think that really was the difference. Really got them unsettled, and we were able to manufacture offense off of our defense in the full court.
So that 20-4 run ultimately was sparked by the defensive effort, plain and simple.
Well, I think so. I definitely think so. The other key factor I thought was that Rashawn was able to get to the free throw line, get some points on the board for us with the clock stopped. I thought those were probably the 2 most significant things, but when we needed that press to come through for us, our guys were very active and showed some really good defense with active hands, just forcing Sam Houston to play a little bit at a hurried pace.
Rashawn Thomas did hit 8 free throws in that final stretch, as a matter of fact. And let's just take it all the way back to his off-season work. I mean, because he was not that good a free throw shooter last year. This year he's shooting with so much more confidence, and not only was he shooting well, but he was getting every friendly bounce in the world. But that's just called a shooter's bounce for a reason.
Yeah, and you touched on he's put so much work in. He's still not yet a consistent 80% free throw shooter, but he continues to show progress when he puts the time in and puts the concentration to it. He's come up big for us. That was a game that I think he knew we needed the free throws, and he did a really nice job of just stepping that line with shooting that ball with a lot of confidence.
You mentioned the full court press, and I'll say this to me, and I've said it to others talking about this game after the fact. To me, the play of the game was not a stat that is tracked, not a stat that is tracked on a score sheet, but it's tracked by coaching staffs, and that's a deflection. And on an inbounds feed, it was Hamid Ali who got up and got 2 fingers on a basketball to get a deflection, which created a turnover. Duvier to Ali to Duvier to Thomas, the slam dunk, and that gave us our first lead in a long time, 72-70 with under a minute to go.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, it's all about defense. Deflections, that's a category that we chart. We talk about it every time out. We want to know how many deflections. It's an indicator, 1, of how hard we're playing, 2, of how active we are with our hands. 3, it's a confidence thing. When we're getting deflections, even if we're on the downside of the scoreboard, we know we're doing a lot of things right, and we just have to stay the course at that point.
Is that one of the most satisfying wins that you've had as an Islander head coach?
Very much so. I mean, it was just a great college basketball game,
Sure.
Great atmosphere for the fans that were able to watch it on TV. You know, a lot of feedback and people that had a chance to see that game felt like it was a quality college game. But to do it in Huntsville, just very satisfying against a very good team, a team that's trying to make a run at us in the conference standings, and to be able to get a win on the road against a good team and kind of solidify things. It's not sealed away yet, but we're one step closer with that win.
A word you used earlier, and I told you I would be coming back to it, and that was the word momentum. How important is momentum going into the Southland Conference tournament?
Well, I think it's big. It's not everything, but teams that tend to play with momentum play with more freedom. And that doesn't mean that things are easy, but freedom means aggression. Aggression means you're playing opportunistic, and you're really kind of trying to create your own breaks, so to speak. And I think just teams that don't have a lot to think about can go out and play with aggression. 9 out of 10 times things are going to fall your way. You get the benefit of the calls, you get the benefit of the success on the court. You can get your opponents reeling a little bit when they know you've got that momentum on your side. And it's a key. It's a big thing because momentum can change on a dime. We've seen so many times where teams would go into a conference tournament with momentum, go into late season with momentum, and all it takes is one play that can really turn things around. And so I think from our perspective, we want to ride that momentum, but we got to make sure we don't get too high. We got to make sure we don't get too low. Our most important factor that we can focus on is just being consistent and playing at that high level 5 energy level that we're looking for.
Final week of the regular season, the Islanders will play Houston Baptist and Abilene Christian. Coach, best of luck this week.
Thank you.
Willis Wilson joining us here once again in the locker room. When we come back, our Christus Spohn Health System feature segment focuses on Islanders senior point guard Hamid Ali. That's coming your way right here on Islanders Insider.
On behalf of all student athletes, thank you to the members of the Islander Athletic Fund for allowing us to earn a great education at the Island University.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to play the sports that we love.
Thank you for preparing us to achieve excellence in the classroom, in competition, and in our community.
Thank you for providing us with a first-class campus experience.
Thank you for the chance to represent Corpus Christi with pride. Thank you for making us Islanders for life.
Thank you for making us Islanders for life.
Thank you for making us Islanders for life.
Countdown to Katy, March 9th through the 13th at the Murrow Center. Go to Ticketmaster.com or Southland School ticket offices.
Welcome back to Islanders Insider. On this week's Christus Spohn feature segment, we focus in on Islanders senior point guard Hamid Ali.
Hard to believe that Hamid's been time goes by fast. We kind of came in together and went through a lot of those growing pains and a lot of those hard times together. But the thing that really has impressed me about Hamid, well, really two things. Just his development as a player and a person has been very impressive. He's a quick study. He really knows what we want. And he's been there every day. And I guess that's the other thing, his level of dedication to this program, his loyalty to this program and helping us build this thing has really been something that's stood out.
My biggest transformation for me was my work ethic. You know, when I first got here, everything came easy to me, but it's just another level. That's what I found out. My first year, freshman year, I didn't grasp it. Sophomore and junior year, I started to control it. And then fifth year, senior, by the time I'm here, it just got easier. But I just try to gain as much experience as I can, you know, having a great point guard like John Jordan. I just try to learn from him, take little tidbits from him and try to see if it works for me. Just the game management, I've seen him manage games, when to attack, when to stay aggressive to score, when to find people, try to keep everybody involved, trying to keep everybody happy. We have 5 players that can score at one time on the floor, so it's kind of just managing, you know, the talent around you. Once I get into the paint, everything else comes easier, and once I get into the paint, I get more time to shoot my jump shot. It's easier to get everybody involved once you get the defense to collapse on you, so that was pretty much the main thing for me.
Sometimes when you're around guys that are talking all the time, it can really wear on you. But as a coach, you got to relish having a guy in your roster that will talk. And it's not just talk for the sake of talking. It's basketball talk. It's understanding the system. It's seeing things kind of like a coach on the floor, seeing things in real time and really communicating with guys in real time on the things that need to be accomplished. Basketball is a spontaneous game. Unlike a lot of other sports, you don't get an opportunity to reset after every down or after every pitch. You got to keep going. And so to be able to do that effectively, you've got to have somebody that can really communicate in real time. You know, there are a couple things about Hamid that just stand out. Going back when he came in with John Jordan as freshman, they were about the same size. They were both little scrawny guys. Hamid's grown now from about 5'10", 5'11" to almost 6'3". He's put on the weight. He was always sort of under the radar as a point guard. He was a 2-year starter at the 3 spot for us. And I don't know if that says something about how desperate we were. It really says more about just how effective he was as a communicator to be able to play the small forward, which meant he had to take on some tough defensive responsibilities. He had to really make up a lot of ground with his voice, where he may have lacked size and athleticism, but he's just grown into a very mature basketball player. And I think the luxury of being able to see it from the off guard and then back up at the point while John Jordan was here in the fold has allowed him to really take the best of both and kind of share his knowledge with his teammates. And I think he's done that in a very effective way. Guys respond to him the same way they respond to coaches. They respond in real time. They don't always like the things that he says. We get that a lot with coaches as well, but he's just done a really, really good job of being about winning, being about making sacrifices, and you know, if there was one word that really kind of summed up what he means to the program is leadership.
Confidence. He bred confidence into John. He bred confidence into me. So, you know, no matter who I play against, I just feel like I could do what I'm able to do versus anybody.
Lung cancer is the leading cancer killer in both men and women. Because most cases are diagnosed in the most advanced stage, early detection is the key to survival. Are you between the age of 55 and 74, have a smoking history of at least 30 pack years, Radiology and Imaging of South Texas and Christus Spohn Cancer Center have joined together to offer affordable lung cancer screenings. Call 1-855-557-7646 to schedule, because what you can't see can kill you.
My family has been growing crops here since the late 1800s.
We're Texas farmers through and through, and that's why we love HEB. They've been supporting local farms like ours for generations.
They buy more of our corn than anyone else in Texas.
Over 10 million pounds annually, and they use it to make great products like HEB corn chips.
So when you try them, you're eating a little piece of Texas.
We're the Sawdoff family, and this is the locally grown department at HEB. No store does more than my HEB.
Welcome back to Islanders Insider. We're going to talk some women's basketball as we're joined by the head coach of the program, Coach Royce Chadwick. Coach, how are you?
I'm good, Stephen.
Coming off of a difficult weekend this past Saturday in Huntsville as the team fell to Sam Houston State, the Bearcats, thus splitting the season series. You know, your staff works very hard to get the team prepped and ready and prepared for the opportunity to compete. Do you feel at game time they were ready?
We didn't show it. You know, the way we came onto the court, even in warm-up, we were lethargic and complacent, and once the game started, we carried that over. We couldn't score. Got to the free throw line, couldn't hit a free throw. So, no, we obviously were not plugged in, locked in the way you want to be, especially for a game of that magnitude, because we already had told our players, you win this one, no matter what, you're going to go to Katy. And we just didn't come out with the right focus. Our senior leadership was our locker room wasn't electric. It was a weird game. It was kind of a strange circumstance to be in. But what we hoped we would do as a coaching staff, we keep them fighting, sure. Keep them in it. Even though free throws weren't going, we had they turned it over 14 times in the first half. We turned that into 4 points. You know, it's a situation where when you get the turnover, now you've got 2-on-1s or 3-on-2s. You have to go score. We couldn't turn that into anything positive. So at halftime, we talked to them about, keep fighting, because it's going to turn. It's going to turn for you. And eventually, we lost our fight in the paint, and they started beating us up on the boards.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It did seem like they were a bit nervous coming out instead of, like you said, overly confident. They seemed maybe a little overly nervous. You can see that with some of the shots just off the mark. And, there are definitely some nights when it appears that there seems to be a lid on the rim. It's an old cliche, but it just kind of felt that way. Now, only one player shot at least 50% from the floor on the night for the team, and that was Yuri Jolivet. And unfortunately, she's an up-and-comer, but she's not your primary scoring option.
Absolutely. I thought our freshmen did a really good job of fighting through some adversity. Our senior class was 5 of 25 in the game. And some of those shots were shots that, you got 48% shooters that had those shots and couldn't hit a one of them. So, it's just one of those character tests where, hey, this is a game that we really need to get. And the toughest part about that is once you get into March, the February pressure is minuscule compared to what the pressure is in March when it's win or go home. That game was win and you're in, but if you don't win, you still got an opportunity. So the pressure mounts now on our team with 2 games to play. These are situations where we are probably in a situation win or go home, and we got to learn to handle that. And that pressure is 10 times more intense than I think than the pressure we had at Sam. So we'll see how we bounce back.
You know, there are 2 games remaining in the regular season, and as we talked about, the pressure's there to win, but neither one of these opponents are pushovers. First, you have Houston Baptist on Thursday night, then you travel to Abilene Christian on the weekend. Now, when we faced them on our campus or in the American Bank Center, we gave them some pretty good shots. The Abilene Christian game, the top team in the conference, it was a 6-point game. And in Houston Baptist, if it wasn't for that 1/3 quarter, that was a pretty hard-fought contest as well. And actually, we gave it quite a run in that 4th quarter.
Well, there are a couple of detriments, you know, to what we have in front of us, and we are what we've created. We have to go on the road on both these teams, and both these teams are teams that we were unable to get over the hump to win the basketball game here at home. So we have to go into a hostile environment and win the HBU game. Then we got to travel all the way to Abilene on Friday, get ready to play that game on Saturday afternoon, 30-something hours later, turn around and play that game. If we win them both, we'll be in the tournament. If we don't win them both, then you know you can win one, lose one, you never know. But we're in a situation where everybody understands. I think in our locker room, hey, this is March, and you're supposed to win games in March. And you know we've had some good successes in preparing ourselves to go to the tournament and to get these games in March. So hopefully we'll go get these and be ready to play in Katy.
No, it is a challenge. And then you go to Abilene Christian, another very good team. But the one thing about Abilene Christian on Saturday is that that's a team that we actually outplayed in the second half of our game here, I believe on campus at the Dugan Wellness Center. We outplayed them, we outscored them in both the 3rd and 4th quarters, but still fell short by 6. How much more difficult is it going to be to have that type of success on their floor?
Well, the thing that concerns me is the travel. You know, we're going to play on Thursday night. We'll, get them out of the HBU game at 7:30, whatever. Get out of the gym 8:30. Throw them some quick food, put them in bed. They'll get up the next morning, and then we got to do that 400-mile trek to Abilene, and then you get up the next day and you have a 2:00 game. So the travel at this stage of the game, everybody's beat up, bruised, battered. You have to forget the way you feel from the chin down and start thinking about from the chin up, getting your mind locked into getting the job done. And it'll be a tremendous test for our players because every team in America is feeling exactly the same thing. Everybody has travel situations. How tough are you? Are you tough enough to overcome all the things it takes to continue to play in March? Because you get to Katy. Are you tough enough to overcome whatever it takes to continue? Well, you get into the NCAAs. Are you tough enough to overcome whatever it takes to continue? And the tough teams survive.
Well, you mentioned possible scenarios a moment ago, but the reality is the ultimate scenario is win.
Yeah, if we don't win, it doesn't matter what everybody else does. We have to take care of our business. We still have we're tied with Sam. And if we can win out, that means we have tiebreakers on Sam because we beat Abilene Christian.
And they got a tough schedule too.
The highest in the league, and Sam wins out as well. So, our fate is in our hands. We don't need any help from anybody. We just need to play. We have 4 seniors, and those seniors have to understand it's March, and they have played all their lives, and this is what they've been playing for, this opportunity to play meaningful games in March, and they have them. We got to go play with toughness, and we got to play with intensity.
Coach, good luck this week.
Thank you.
Royce Chadwick joining us here once again in the locker room. When we come back to Islanders Insider, we'll bring you up to speed on what's next for Islanders Athletics. Stay with us. Islanders Insider continues. Welcome back to Islanders Insider. At this time, we want to bring you up to speed on what's next for Islanders athletics. Islander women's basketball will be taking the court on Saturday the 5th on the road in Abilene as they take on the Abilene Christian Wildcats. That start time, 2 p.m. It'll be followed up by Islander men's basketball as they'll be taking the court at 4 o'clock, also against the Abilene Christian Wildcats. Islander baseball will start a weekend doubleheader at UT Arlington on Friday the 4th. They'll play the first game on the 4th at 6:30, come back with a doubleheader on Saturday, 12:30 and 4, and then wrap up the 4-game series on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Islanders softball will play a weekend series against Prairie View A&M on campus at Chapman Field. The start time, 1 o'clock, followed by the doubleheader action at 3 o'clock. They'll come back on Sunday to play the third and final game of the series at 1 p.m. Islander men's tennis will be competing in the 50th annual HEB Tournament of Champions, hosted by the Islanders on Friday the 4th and Saturday the 5th. Teams competing include Texas, DePaul, South Alabama, Louisiana, Southern Miss, UTSA, and UTRGV. Islanders women's tennis will be traveling to Natchitoches, Louisiana on Sunday the 6th and Monday the 7th to play 2 contests. First, they'll take on the Air Force Academy on Sunday, followed by the host team, Northwestern State, on Monday. Islander women's golf will be competing in the UTRGV Women's Collegiate first round on Monday the 7th, followed by rounds on the 8th and 9th, this taking place at the McAllen Country Club. Once again, we want to thank Islander coaches for joining us here in the locker room today. Willis Wilson of Islander men's basketball and Royce Chadwick of Islander women's basketball. And most importantly, we thank you for tuning in. For everyone here at Islanders Athletics, you've been watching Islanders Insider.
All right, everybody, if this doesn't get your toes tapping, then check your pulse.
The joy of cola. Joy of bubbles, joy of fun, joy of Pepsi on your tongue. Greatest taste sensation under the sun. Pepsi Cola.
I'm Christy Felice, and I am the Director of Brand Engagement for the Houston Astros. Texas A&M University at Corpus Christi has absolutely helped get me to where I am today, and it is a small campus with large opportunities. You should definitely choose Texas A&M University at Corpus Christi.
97% of A&M Corpus Christi graduates will be working or in graduate school upon graduation. Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Discover your island. Visit us today at tour.tamucc.edu.